Yeah, it was nice. Obviously, watching this tournament growing up, always so entertaining to watch, and so many good players and so many good teams. So, yeah, just one step in the right direction, 3 points, and a positive performance.
We're happy that we get a win. You always have to be happy with that. Never take it for granted. But at the same time, we know that to go through and to be able to win this competition, we have to always improve. And for sure, as I said, we could have finished off some chances, been more tidy at times. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know that after the first game, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, the early goal helps a lot. It allowed us to settle into the game a bit and play freely. And yeah, we had some good moments in the first half. And I mean, yeah, the only criticism would be to put the game away and maybe score a couple more goals. But all in all, a pretty dominant performance, I felt.
We did speak about the competition for places. You got that nice finish today, that goal. Do you feel like it takes some of the little bit of heat off your back if you felt any before?
Nah, I think my heat's internal. So, I mean, I put the pressure on myself to come out here and do my job, always looking to improve. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, I'm still going to go into the next game with aims of helping the team. So I wouldn't say it takes the heat off my back. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the next game, really.
My heat's internal. Sounds like a lyric right there. Aaron Ballaghan got bars.
Or what?
That was, yeah, exactly.
The heat is in the earrings, I'm going to tell you that much.
Woo! Let's go, bling, bling. All right, so Yunus Musa with an interesting comment there. Obviously happy about the victory, but he said there's room for improvement. Where is that room for improvement based on what we saw today from the U.S., in your opinion?
I think what we spoke about, just bringing the intensity, putting the opponent on their heels and on their back foot, because I do think that there's a lot of motivation, there's a lot of talk around the team that they have a brotherhood, that they have come so close together. Now it's like applying that onto the field, showing that they can make each other look good, finishing chances. So I think that stems from the intensity. They have a lot to prove. They have some pressure. Everyone's watching them to see how this tournament will play out for them. So I think that if they can come out, elevate the level a little bit, because against Bolivia, obviously one of the worst teams in the tournament, it was difficult for them to maybe play to their potential because of the opponent. So now they really have to step it up, because you're playing against Panama and Uruguay, and you have to try to get out of the group, and that is definitely going to be a challenge moving into the next couple games.
Where does U.S. have to improve?
Well, finishing, obviously. You got to finish teams off. You heard Christian Pulisic say that. Uruguay doesn't finish off a team like Panama, and Panama's dangerous enough where they threaten and could potentially tie this game. It was the 85th minute, you said?
When Darwin Núñez
finally scores the second, it's 1-0. Bolivia never really threatened. So I think Christian Pulisic and this group recognize that you need to be better, because better teams won't let you do that and may punish you for that. So you need to finish off the opportunities that you create. But sans the finishing, which is a very big part, there were a few sloppy mistakes that I think go into playing down to the level of the opponent, taking a few plays off. That's going to happen every once in a while. But honestly, this was a dominated, at least in possession, throughout all the lines, and it was just the lack of finishing that really did them in. But it's 3 points and, no goals against.
In those sound bites, we heard from Gio Reyna. Ale, he was your X factor, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
I don't know that I was a part of that segment.
You weren't. That was your X factor. But I'll ask you anyway, because you were rating the midfielders. What did you think of his performance?
Well, as I said in the previous show, I can just tell you that this was a glorified training session, and it was a possession drill through the midfield. So when we're judging the individual performance of Gio Reyna, we have to take that into account. But when he got the ball, he moved the ball on. When there was an opportunity to hit a penetrating pass, he did that for the second goal. For the most part, was able to run past people with that sort of smooth pace that he has at times, where he takes that first touch forward and touch away from pressure and tries to run away from people. Wasn't allowed to do that regularly because he was taken down a few times, which I suppose he didn't like all that much. We heard him scream a couple of times because of the hard fouls. But overall, the performance of Gio Reyna, as it was for most of the midfield, solid, not spectacular. Solid, not great, but the game did not demand spectacular. The game did not demand great, and so therefore, as I've said before, it's a game that demanded essentially the sort of work and effort that you would put in a possession drill, a competitive possession drill in a training session, and that's about it.
Herc, we've talked a little bit about Christian Pulisic, how good he was in this game. Obviously gets the goal, has the assist. You know where else he was good? set pieces, and that's not always been the case.
No, it's not. The goal comes off a set piece. I still think the goalkeeper could have done a bit more, but regardless
Did you see how they celebrated? They pointed up to the set piece coach.
Oh,
look at
there's
that.
A set piece. Oh.
You got a set piece coach now, coach for everything.
It's a fad.
It's no Liverpool throw-in
What's
coach,
wrong?
Ale. Old school Ale doesn't like the set piece coach.
All right, tough
It's a
crowd.
short corner. It's a short. What is so mind-bending about this? What is this new style of set piece? A short corner.
I didn't celebrate it.
Maybe they saw weakness in the Bolivian game plan.
Listen, take it any way you can get it. I understand what Ali's getting to. This all seems a bit much when we talk about set piece specialists and these different types of coaches. Whatever helps, I guess. And if you're going to spend your money on it, make sure it counts. And it did. He scored a goal off of it. But the set pieces were good. That's been a rock on the road for him.
It's been an issue for the whole team.
It has
especially
been
for him.
But I'm going to go back to Christian Pulisic and the way I see him, not only in the field but off the field, and the way he's taking questions and how he's answering them about, we need to finish these games off. I'm seeing more of a leader. Being at Milan, that season under his belt, double-digit goals, double-digit assists, the confidence is back. It's translating to a fresher Christian Pulisic with the national team, one that wants to hold himself and others accountable, and I like that.
Casey, you agree with what we're hearing from Herc on Christian Pulisic?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what then that kind of alludes to is something that has kind of eluded the national team in recent times, is a level of consistency. What we've seen in results is play bad, react, and then have a good result, and then play bad, and then react and have a good result. Well, in tournament play, you can't potentially have that bad result. So what we need to see right now is we need to see, what we heard from not only Christian, but from the rest of the guys interviewed, is this progression of improvement throughout this tournament. They knew they played the weakest side in the first game. They got the 3 points. And now it's about finding those little moments of continually improving. You're going to play a better team in Panama next, and then you're going to play arguably the best team in the group in Uruguay last. So it builds perfectly for that progression, but you just have to do it. So you can't come out in the next match and be flat in the first half and then really be fighting something. There has to be that level of consistency, like, okay, that match was started against Bolivia at a very high level. They got the early reward. Okay, then maybe a little sloppy play led into it after that. But you can't afford to start the Panama game poorly. You have to start it on the same trend and then continue to build forward as this tournament progresses. If you have, the hope of getting, I still have a ton, obviously, I'm fully confident that they're going to get out of the first round. But then obviously depends on the matchups afterwards, and you're going to be playing some much better teams after that. And then you have to have that level of consistency and that continual improvement if you're going to truly be a threat in this tournament.
All right, so Panama is up next for the United States. Bolivia in the rear view mirror in Group C. But before we move past Bolivia, let's hear from the manager, Greg Berhalter, hear what he had to say after the 2-0 win.
He's a selfless leader. He goes out and just competes and works really hard, and that helps the team. And then you add to the fact that he's highly skilled and he can make plays on the offensive end and create chances on the offensive end. I mean, it's a great combination. And then what you see is him supporting his teammates, him backing guys, him pushing guys. To me, it was an outstanding performance tonight. He got coach's man of the match, and it was much deserved. What I said to the guys is it was never in doubt, and that's the important thing about the first game of the tournament. We've been together for almost a month now, and itching to get going, and then you come out and you're never exactly sure how it's going to go. But I think the guys, never put it in doubt, and were really focused from the onset. Showed a lot of intensity, a lot of hard work, and able to get the goal. And for us, it's just about building on this performance. We have next game is our focus, our sole focus is going to be how do we prepare for Panama.
All right, so there we have it, the words of Greg Berhalter. How do we evaluate him after a game like this?
You know, it's interesting. I was thinking this whole time we've not talked about Greg Berhalter.
Hey, yes.
That's probably a good thing if you're the
Yes.
U.S. men's national team or the fan base. Listen, it's on these players now. I don't have an issue with anything Greg Berhalter did in this game, with the lineups, the decisions he made, whether it was bringing Tyler Adams off, a minutes count, or whether it was putting Ricardo Pepi on after Folarin Balogun scored a goal. I was fine with everything. It's up to these players now. This is the golden generation we keep talking about. Well, these players need to have their golden moment, their signature moment. Greg Berhalter has put him in this position right now, at least tactically, where they should have gotten more of a result versus Bolivia. So yeah, I think Greg Berhalter did fine in this game.
Yeah, fair.
Well, I'm not talking about Berhalter.
Why not?
There's no reason to.
Exactly. He got the lineup right, didn't he?
This is the tough lineup that he had to put together today. This was a tough decision.
He had to make a couple big decisions. He had to decide whether to start Tyler Adams, and he did, and it worked out okay.
I am not
He had to
gonna
decide who to start at the number 9, and the guy he started scored a goal.
I am not gonna go down to the level of having this conversation with you, right? I am not gonna value and somehow honor what you're talking about here. This was a game against a team, an inferior team in Bolivia, right? He could have put Hercules out there to score goals, and Hercules would have scored goals today, right? And that would have been a questionable decision. And he would have scored goals today. Honestly, if you want to make a big deal of Greg Berhalter today and his decisions against Bolivia, then we're manufacturing a conversation. We're manufacturing an argument, and I'm not about to do that. I'm above that.
Sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I mean, look, the only decision here would have been actually Folarin Balogun in my eyes, and that's it. And I have no issue. I actually knew he was going to go with Folarin Balogun again. And Folarin Balogun rewarded him with the goal. Now you got the guy that you wanted scoring a goal in a major tournament. Hopefully he heats up. It was a good decision by Greg Berhalter that paid off. And maybe in the same way that it was a good decision starting Tyler Adams and getting his feet wet.
Casey, if Greg Berhalter has a checklist of things he wanted to see in the first game, anything left off that checklist other than the finishing?
I think the only other thing was maybe just a little sloppy play out of the back a couple times, because that's reared an ugly head in tough results for Greg. And clearly I know. I mean, it's so cliche that you're only looking towards your next match, but there has to be a little bit of a thought process on the way that Uruguay presses. And there has to be a thought process on the way you're going to play out of the back against a team that is going to suck you into positions and press you and try to turn the ball over in advanced positions. So maybe there was a little bit, or at least some learning moments to go back on the tape and say, all right, hey guys, you got away with it against this very inferior opponent. But against a more physical Panama and then a team that is just looking for those opportunities in Uruguay, those are the spots we need to be better.